Can everybody hear me?
Hi, Connor. I'm trying to get you
Oh,
added as
hi.
a host. So give me a second here.
Hey, Sean. Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're all
Okay,
good.
great. Thanks.
If everybody wouldn't mind muting until we get to Q&A, or if you have an actual question, that's great, just for background noise and so forth. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you. There he is. Gotcha. It's a good looking 727. There you go. I gotcha.
How do I mute myself?
I gotcha. What's the question?
787.
How do you mute yourself so you don't hear people talking in the background?
There should be a mute button on your phone somewhere, probably in the bottom
Okay.
corner.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, there you go. You got it. That's just so everybody can hear each other and so forth. We'll have a Q&A here in a little bit, though.
Connor, I saw you showed the Hawaiian 787, so I also have my Hawaiian AC30 as well. There he is. Connor.
Big time. All way to San Francisco. I wouldn't take that up. Okay. I wouldn't take that up.
I think we'll start right at 7 o'clock.
Good deal. Here comes the crowd.
Hey,
Welcome, everybody. All right.
all right, it is 7 o'clock, and like a Swiss train, let's get started, everybody here. Welcome and thanks for tuning in. My name is David Powell. I'm on the board of the World Airliners Historical Society and also the vice president. Phil Brooks is the president. I see his name on here. I don't see him yet. From the World Airliners Historical Society, it was decided to create a new committee. The NextGen committee, we've had two leaders, and recently Connor was asked to be the chair, and he accepted. So this is our first Zoom. I'll tell a little bit about myself, and then I'll tell you what the agenda is going to be about. And then at the best part is at the last, I will be interviewing Connor. Have lots of questions for him. So glad you're here once again, and greetings from Indianapolis. So I like airplanes and trains about equally. I ended up doing a 50-year career in the railroad business, but I never lost my love for aviation and flying around. Done a bunch of frequent flyer programs, been around the world a few times, and just 84 countries. Been really, really lucky to do that. Uh, our agenda, I want to talk about the World Airliners Historical Society versus Airliners International. These are used interchangeably. It's a very confusing thing. I want to unconfuse you. We'll talk about the NextGen mission. We are going to have a meetup at the big Atlanta show in the Delta Museum and share some friendship stories. These are stories that come from people who have become friends and traveled together or done whatever together over the long term, but they met at an airline show. We're trying to inspire younger people. That's the mission of the NextGen. Our median age or something is about 61. It was divulged at the business meeting last year. We're concerned that not enough young people are getting involved in our hobby. So we don't want this just to go away. Connor's inspired a number of people to come to the shows and get involved in everything. And then I will interview Connor after that. So anything you want to say, Connor, right off the bat?
Yeah, thank you all so much for being here. This is an awesome crowd and definitely a start of a new chapter for World Airline Historical Society and Airlines International. So getting that difference sorted out is very important. So we're going to talk about that. And then the initiative, I think, is extremely important. So we'll talk about all that and get to know each other a little bit better. And that question and answer can be as extensive as we want it to be. So we want to provide a platform for you all to interact, engage, and enjoy what we do. So that's exactly what we're going to do this evening.
Terrific. Thank you. World Airliners Historical Society was created about 50 years ago. They've been existing 50 years. The show in Atlanta will be the 49th big annual convention. There was one year we skipped because of COVID. So World Airliners Historical Society, Tom, feel free to jump in, correct me, or help me if you want. Was created for purpose of promotion for sharing other av geeks and starting an annual show for trading, everything from postcards, models, you name it, it's there. My first show was in 1987. Phil Brooks was running it. I thought, yeah, right. Me and about 7 other people in the world are into this kind of stuff. But here we're like, I think the total attendance was over 700. So that was just like a mind-blowing thing. But WAS, I'm going to refer to it as WAS, is behind all of this. There's Airliners International is a name owned by WAS, and they license to Airliners International once a year to provide a big show. So there's an agreement signed and they have a relationship. So the terms are still used sort of interchangeably. It's confusing sometimes, understandably so, but that's basically the arrangement. Tom, you've been around a long time. Anything you want to throw on top of that?
Yeah, the first show was 1975 in Cincinnati, Ohio. I don't recall where 76 was. Maybe Toronto. It was in Dallas. It was in Detroit in 1980. That was my first show. I've been to most of them over the years. Missed a few with my career, but yeah, I've been involved a long time. I knew Paul Collins and Gomer Piles, and I've known Jet. So those are people that really started it.
Jet Thompson, who Tom was mentioning, has been to the only person who has been to every single show.
I have not been to every single show.
Jet has.
Oh, Jet has. Yes,
Jet
has been to every single show. Yes.
How about did I describe the relationship? WAS?
Yeah, no, that is, it used to be hosted by local people. Like I hosted the 1985 show in San Jose, California, went to the hotel, negotiated. We had a small aviation group called Bay Area Airline Historical Society, BAS, and we hosted the show. It's gotten more business-like over the last number of years. now that we're a nonprofit, we are actually incorporated as a nonprofit. We can't actually run a show as WAS. So we have to have a LLC run the show. So each year, whoever is the host, like this year, the LLC is Airliners International 2025. So whoever undertakes that, they put up the funding. We can't put up the funding. We can promote it. All we ask for return is a host. They pay us a license fee for a show, because they are using our name. So, but it's business. It seems to be quite popular. There seems to be a lot of demand for the national show. I mean, you can tell with just the regional shows. There's a lot of one-day shows, and they're very well attended. So I think we're going to carry on with a national show every year. It is getting harder to find people that want to host, but we always seem to find someone that's interested.
In the old days, there was competition.
Yeah, not so much anymore.
We want to run the show in Minneapolis. Like, no, we want to do Denver.
Dave and I are young guys now in this group. I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm 63, so we need some new blood. So it's nice to see young people interested and to carry on, because we certainly don't want to do this forever.
A little bit more about WAS. Tom is the treasurer for WAS. He's also on the board. There's a president, Phil Brooks. I'm the vice president. There are total of, and their board members, there are 6 board members. We sort of recently decided we probably should have another board member. So we approved a board's position that will be voted on along with another board member, myself, expiring the end of June. So it's
John Miller's up. Secretary is up.
And John Miller's the secretary is up
email
too.
Will be coming out soon.
He's on the board too. So if when we get 7, that'll be a tiebreaker. Not that we've had much of a problem of that in the past, but I just wanted to explain that. So yes, so our mission, we want to do several things. Connor and I have been working on what's our mission, what should we doing. So one of the things is providing time-to-time webinars. I think Tom, you're willing to be one of our webinar speakers one time?
Sure.
Coming
Absolutely.
up, fantastic. Tom is a great UPS wide-body pilot, captain. And he would be great. We have 2 people that we know from the Boeing company that probably are willing to talk. Possibly our president, Phil Brooks, possibly Jeb Brooks, no relation to Phil, but you may know him from greenergrass.com, very popular YouTuber. Connor and I have been talking with him back and forth, so he knows who we are, and that would be really cool. We also want to start reaching out to at a minimum like aviation schools, or aviation clubs on campus to target younger people. We have some flyer cards that tell about the organization. We want to encourage people to be a member. But we're trying to get the word out that we even exist. So very recently, I was on a flight home from Phoenix, and this guy is a mechanic for Republic right at the airport. And I said, "You ever heard of he loves planes, loves planes. You ever heard of the society or the big?" Nope. The first time I said, "Here's 2 brochures Tom mailed to me." I said, "Can you put these in the break room and talk it out?" "Oh yeah, sure." It's like, when's the show? So Connor's very familiar with this. I have to tell a story. I was at Dallas. I chose 2 random people. First show, yep. Great. How'd you know about this? Like, oh, this guy Connor does YouTube videos. Like, oh my gosh. So Connor, you've made a real difference in real time. But we want to do more of that. Yes. In Atlanta, the promoters have set aside a place for us, the NextGen committee, to meet up. We invite especially anybody under 25 or somebody that's just really interested in helping us to show up. We are going to have some kind of drink, and I call it the basket o'plenty in first class on American. They come around with a basket of snacks. So we're going to have that to encourage people to show up. It won't be dinner or anything, but we want to talk, and we are going to plan on having people show up to talk about their friendship experiences, among other things. People who met at these type of conventions. This is where Connor and I met. I met Phil through a convention. He ran the first convention that I went to in '87 in Indianapolis, very conveniently. That was such a game changer. But Phil and I have been to the Paris Air Show. We've been to all over Central America. A lot of trips together. So because of the airline show, so we want to encourage people to hear the stories and be inspired to introduce yourself to somebody, and you just never know. You might end up traveling with them. Let's see. Question, are there opportunities for young folks to help out at the Atlanta Big Show in June? I would say yes. If you're interested, approach Chris Slimmer. He's kind of hard to miss. He has a loud voice, and ask anybody. Oh, there's Chris. Yep. So just say anything you can help out. He probably
Swears a lot.
do work with checking badges or wristbands or something going into the big show or something like that. I've done that and got roped into it. And but you can say no, I've had enough. I got to go back to something. But I'm sure he would be delighted. Let's see. So that'll be at the Delta Museum Friday of the show at 5 p.m. Kind of a prime time. Let's see. I talked about Saturday morning at the show at 8 a.m., I believe, is the business meeting for the World Airliners Historical Society. It will be announced who is the new secretary and 2 board members, and probably some news. And probably by that time, it will be announced, as is tradition, where next year's big show will be. That's being actively worked on as we speak. Joining membership, I would encourage anybody to do that. It's only $10. You don't get a whole heck of a lot, but you do get to vote and call yourself a member. You can, a buddy of mine, Joe Crawford, always put it on his resume. Why? I'm not really sure. Tom.
I was going to say, if you join for $10, there is the whole archive of the captain's log from 1975 until current, well, when we stopped publication. It's all available on PDF. There's thousands of articles on different airlines, collecting, modeling. So there's a whole database of information, because we used to actually have a written publication that came out 4 times a year. But it's all been put on the website as a PDF. It is searchable by, if you put in a keyword. It's not, it's not perfect, but I scanned all the issues last year, so we didn't have to keep them all. And I just kind of flipping through pages, lots of modeling, how to modify a 707 kit to a Boeing 720 if you wanted to do that, vice versa. So there's a lot of good information in there. So I mean, it's only $10 a year, but and the website wasonline.com is wealth of information. There's always current. Gary Orlando puts on current articles. The current show list of regional shows is on the website, so when there's a show coming to your area. It's constantly been updated by our secretary. So we would appreciate the support. If you do donate more than $50 or more, I will send you a nice letter that you can write off and make a donation when you do your taxes.
There you go. I'm sure all these guys are in very high tax brackets, so everybody,
Hey, every
everything
little bit
helps.
helps. $50 makes a difference.
That's right. Thanks, Tom, for that. Yeah, there's all kinds of historical stuff, postcards, a lot of different fun things that you would be encouraged to look at. The membership year goes until the big convention once a year. So the new membership year starts, what should we say, Tom? July 1st?
July 1st.
Yes. Okay. So that takes you through.
But I think what we do is, if you do join late this year, like now, April, May, we will carry you through till the following year, I believe.
What a
So
deal.
I mean, I think we started that last year. So I could double check with the secretary, but I'm pretty sure if you if you join now, April, May, June, you're good till the following June.
What a deal. That's like
I believe that's the case. I'm not positive.
okay. Cool deal. Before I get to the interview with Connor, anybody want to ask any questions about airliners, WASP, the organization?
I have a question.
Yes, Tom.
I don't know any of the people on this group chat
Yes.
other than Dave Powell and Connor.
Let's do that.
Can we maybe go to everyone and if they can introduce themselves
All right,
and
I'll
what their
orchestrate
interests
that.
are in the
Jordan,
hobby?
Jordan, you want to tell us something about yourself and where you live?
Yeah, I certainly can. So my name is Jordan Raditz. I am from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Currently up in Brookings for college right now. I'm in my junior year, majoring in journalism, actually. So not anything aviation related, but I certainly enjoy it. And I also obviously very passionate about aviation myself. And I've been attending the Airliners Convention as long as Connor's been, since the Chicago show in 2022.
Very good. And you go by JJ?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, JJ, I'm a pilot for UPS and I come to Sioux Falls quite a bit. I do the trip to Calgary. And and the UPS flight goes Louisville, Sioux Falls with a stopover, and then we go Sioux Falls, Calgary. We actually had a mechanical a while back where we went over to the FBO and they gave us a crew car and we went and had breakfast at one of the local restaurants right near the airport. And we ended up getting the airplane fixed and we blasted off. I've never spent any time in the town, but it looks like a nice little place. And I've been in there when the weather's pretty crappy. Actually, my last trip there a few weeks ago, we're like one of the first ones to arrive, like 5:30 in the morning, right before the tower, right when the tower opens. And somebody took off in a King Air and they slipped on the runway, so they decided to tell the tower that the braking action was nil. So we had to hold for an hour until they treated the runway. And I'm kind of thinking, well, why did you call the runway slippery when you're taking off? And he said, oh, we were doing a 360 on the runway or a 180 and we slipped. So the braking action is no good. Well, he kind of killed it for everybody else that morning, but it's all right. It worked out, but it's a nice airport.
Oh yeah.
And when we come back from Calgary, we actually clear customs there. The customs guy comes out to our airplane. And so we don't have to clear customs in Louisville. We actually clear at Sioux Falls.
Ah, cool. Yeah, I know they got the CBP facility. I think it's on the east side of the airport, if I remember right.
And for UPS, it's a regional mini hub. There's a bunch of little Metroliners and Beech 99s that take all the boxes and go to other smaller cities in South Dakota, North Dakota from the Sioux Falls hub. So it's kind of a mini hub for UPS.
Yep. Yeah, I follow those. The mid-G ones.
Yes.
The Ameriflight, Alpine.
Alpine.
Yep.
Every once in a while, you will see JJ assisting Connor in some of his videos.
Yep.
Which is cool.
Couple
Mr.
times.
Dreamliner Fan 2016. What's your name and tell us about you?
That is my username, but my real name is Henry Cordova. I live in the Sacramento area, more in particular, just like close to Sacramento, California.
Cool.
My first Airliners International convention I attended was in Dallas, Texas in 2023, and it was a really fun convention. I got to like meet new people, meet a lot of like aviation enthusiasts, and then last year I went to Kansas City, and honestly, it was really better than Dallas, but we'll see about Atlanta this year. If you guys don't know my background, I do work for an airline, which is Hawaiian Airlines technically, but not really within the airline itself. I work for a contractor as a ramp agent in my home airport in Sacramento, and been doing that for pretty much a year, and it's been fun.
Very cool.
Very nice. I have a daughter in grad school in West. She's going to California Northern University. She lives in West Sacramento. So we go out there and visit. We love Sacramento. I actually grew up in San Jose, but we stay at a hotel right near the Yellow Bridge, and that whole area is very nice with some railroad history and some good restaurants.
Amazing.
I actually will be in Sacramento on Wednesday. I have retired from railroading, but they had a shortage of one person, so they said, "Could you take these 2 locomotives to New York?" I'm like, "Okay." So that just happened this afternoon. I thought I would retire, but I've dusted off my
You just want to keep your feet wet, Dave.
It's okay. I can't get away from trains. I'll admit it. Well,
Yeah,
thanks for that. Lucas, tell us about you. You push your
You're muted, Lucas.
microphone button, little thing that looks like a mic. All right.
I
We-
think if you tap on your preview, it'll pop up the HUD, and then there should be an option to unmute.
All right, Lucas, we will come back to you. Keep working on it. Let us know if we just say something and we'll hear you. Can't hear you yet. Okay, stand by. Sean.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sean Wisman. I'm a aircraft dispatcher for United States Aviation. We do Part 135 global operations and Part 133 Black Hawk long line operations. And we run a 24/7 FBO, and we deal with aircraft management here in Tulsa International Airport. So very, very busy. Graduated at Oklahoma State University for my undergrad for aerospace administration operations, my master's degree also at Oklahoma State. With aviation and space. And then I'm a doctoral candidate for Embry-Riddle University right now for business aviation or aviation business management degree is what that is. So, and I'm here because I met Connor through Instagram, and then he picked a good school to go to. And I think Lucas has found the unmute button there too as well. But yeah, glad to be here. I've been a member of WAS for 6 minutes now. So looking forward to
welcome.
Our newest member. Woohoo! That's fantastic. Now, have you been to an airline show yet? One of
I have
ours.
been to a lot of one days. I went to a lot of one days, but I have not been to a one of the big ones. Tried to last year, but didn't work out. So Atlanta is in the books. I got the Delta flight out there from Tulsa and staying at the new hotel block at the Kimpton. So
Okay,
nice.
Great. Can't wait to meet you. That's great.
Yep.
All right, Lucas, we give another try. Thanks, Sean.
Yes, hi, my name is Lucas Akiyama, and I live in Seattle, Washington. My dad's a former Delta pilot, and I heard about these airliner shows through YouTube and through my Airliner World magazines. And when I went, I was blown away on how much the community really respected people and didn't mind if you have learning disabilities or because I have autism, and I now realize that people with learning disabilities, when they have a passion for something, they really perceive it. And my dream was to become a pilot, but with my learning disabilities, I can't. But I love to work at the Museum of Flight. And I met Henry, Connor, and JJ at the show last year, and they're really nice people. And I think I met you too, David.
I think so too. Yes, that's very cool. Good. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you,
You're
Lucas.
welcome.
I think that's wonderful. And, you know, this whole group is about networking. And I wanted to be a pilot when I first started coming to the airliner shows in 1980. And I met many people over the years that kind of prodded me, made good contacts. So it sounds like you're on the right track. I applaud your efforts for trying to breaking into the business. It's very difficult. You're at the Museum of Flight. That's great. You know that I guess I know you can't be a pilot because of your disability, and I'm sorry, but you get to fly in airplanes, and I'm sure you still have past privileges from your dad. So you got almost 80% of the game.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
Happy to have you on board.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Cool. Phil, I see you're behind the scenes. You want to say anything? If not, that's fine. No? Okay. All right. Are you ready for some questions, Mr. McCauley?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
All right. A lot of folks know you, but for those who don't, can you tell us how did you get started in the aviation hobby, being in countryside, shall we say, in Oklahoma?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a really good question. So yeah, just scrolling on YouTube one day and I came across some landing compilation videos and I thought that they were really cool and I thought that there was more to the story with this. So I kept watching and watching and I found these planes that are these model planes that are die cast. They're called Gemini jets. And I thought these are really cool. So I asked my mom if she would get me one. She did. And one turned into 750, but we'll talk about that part later. Anyway, so to put it simply, yeah, just YouTube completely got me into it, and I just kept watching and watching, and then eventually I made and made, and obviously many of you know me now for what I have with my channel. But that said, just watching so many videos and seeing, what everybody enjoyed, whether it's a model airport or watching planes at Los Angeles or any sort of flight simulator, really whatever it is, there was just so much that I was inspired by. I really enjoyed it. And, I just started commenting and talking to people and getting to know them. And, I was 13, 14, 15 years old at this time. So obviously, it wasn't, I didn't know what I was going to end up making of it, but it was still really awesome to see all that continuity come throughout. And I was able to keep model aircraft in the really just the footprint of my entire life, all the way through middle school. That eventually got all the way through high school. Finally, was able to drive, so I was finally able. I live about an hour away from Tulsa, is where I grew up. So I drove back and forth between the two all the time. Started by plane spotting often. Finally got to the point where I was able to do a bunch of flying around for fun, which was super cool. Shortly after, went to my first airline show in Chicago in 2022. That led to the next two, and obviously Atlanta coming up to be number 4. All these one-day shows. I've done a bunch of traveling with several of you in here, so that's been super fun. I've done over 350 commercial flights, so it's been super cool. And a bunch of various questions we'll answer here today to give you a better understanding. But in a nutshell, just a bunch of YouTube led to where we are today, so it's been pretty fun.
350 flights in your how old?
21.
Yes. How did you
21.
develop your YouTube and Instagram content? How'd you
How
develop?
is that what you asked? I'm sorry.
Yes. How did you develop your content?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started by making diecast model aircraft videos, predominantly model airport updates. Eventually expanded into model aircraft unboxings pretty heavily. Concentrated on that for a very long time on and off. The channel I'm on now is actually my third one. So the first two were all mainly model aircraft related. Finally, after that, I was able to expand with the opportunities that I mentioned with more real life trip reports and plane spotting content, also flight simulator content as well. But for the actual management of this videos, I just make what I enjoy. That's, where it obviously starts. But when you're putting so much effort into it, you do have to concentrate on what works and what doesn't. So, yeah, starting with the managing, just looking at those analytics and seeing what people really like, and that was obviously those model airport updates and unboxings. So really concentrating on that and looking at particular videos to see what worked better than others. I have a really large display. It's about 200 gates, and I can put about 350 planes on it. It's kind of a fictional setup, but that has performed the best. So we've done a bunch of that, and then I found that doing at 10 model unboxings has worked super well, titling massive unboxings. So just looking for different ways to spin the hat, so many different ways to, go about, getting to one goal. So really for the management, just looking at those analytics and see what works well. But I also have a schedule, and this one's a little bit more filled out. So this is for February of 25, and you can see here what I do since I upload every day. I just go through, make markings of what it's going to be, and then we have recurring content, Airliners Internationals on Thursdays. We have model aircraft review on Wednesdays. So you can see I kind of fill in the gaps and so forth. I make my notes here of what videos I'm working on or what's coming up. So really just keeping consistency and knowing that, the channel is going to suffer if I don't get a video out tomorrow. So it's just cool to think about it like that and think of new ideas and so forth and all the opportunities. So, for example, new inaugural flight that Tulsa had yesterday was Nashville. So, there's usually about one off a week. So just navigating and so forth. So that's how it's all managed through that calendar. And then on Instagram, I also very similar. Just I pick some pictures I like, make the collage, post a video, call it good, and just all through that calendar and just trying to balance it all out, right? So that's just a brief nutshell of what the management looks like.
That is so impressive. Wow. And while we're talking about models, could you say approximately how many model airplanes do you have?
Yeah, so my database claims that I have about I think it's 751, but there's a bunch of fluctuation. I have a couple that I'm buying right now. I have a couple that I'm about to put up for sale. I have several that I'm trading. So it's never a really finished product, but typically it's been incrementally going up about 150 a year or so, probably maybe 100, 150. So very cool.
Yes, that's just fantastic. Off the subject, sort of. What would you say have been your top 3 favorite flights?
Yeah, this is a little bit of a pivot. So I'll go ahead and start with my third favorite flight. And I really had to think about this one several times because, I was just like, there's so many I could pick from, right? But I just went ahead and decided what came to my memory. And that is going to be a very recent flight that was in January with Dave Powell. It was a TAP Airlines Airbus A319 from Casablanca, Morocco to Lisbon, Portugal. And the reason that flight's so incredible, and this is talked about in the video, is because we nearly got stuck there. Long story short, we pretty much tried to do a U.S. connection after coming in from the United Arab Emirates. That unfortunately was not very successful. Pretty much it was an international gate transfer, and it was a whole deal. But fortunately, we were able to escape, and the gate agent came and got us. So we lucked out on that one. But just consistent thought of positive energy really helped us out there, and we were both very stressed out for over 2 hours, but fortunately that flight went well, and we watched not one but two bozos get kicked off the flight. And I politely say bozos, they were goofballs, but anyway, whole deal.
And
It was quite a
one
time.
gentleman had something in his bag that he did not want to give up to be checked. And what did he say that he had inside his bag?
He said he had cookies, which it's like,
Cookies.
okay,
Cookies.
that's fun. So it was a whole story. We'll have some videos on that at some point, but I'm doing interviews right now, so those will have to wait. My
Okay, we
second
got
favorite flight was my first ever Airbus A380. This was a dream. This was also a Dave Powell, and we sat in multiple plane spotting observation areas, car rides, all kind. We spent a bunch of time trying to get this flight navigated when we were coming back from our Europe trip last summer. But I was just like, dude, if we can somehow make an A380 work, we got to do it. And we finally found a time that worked. It was the flight into Boston. And yeah, it all came together. It took quite the effort, but fortunately, we were able to burn off his avos and made that happen. So very happy to get the A380. Very fortunate. Can't believe we picked up 2 since then, but we'll just have to continue to document all these fun times. And then my favorite flight was several years ago now. It was the last ever American Airlines MD-80 flight in the Tulsa. That was on the McDonnell MD-83. Great time. The MD-80 is an awesome plane. Really very fortunate. Appreciate my mom making that happen and so forth. Obviously, I was at the age where I wasn't able to drive by a week, but made it happen. So just awesome. It's so cool to think about all the memories. And that's just a short list. We could talk about it for hours, but we have a bunch to talk about. But those are definitely the 3.
Thank you. Fantastic. I will vouch for the BA 380. That was absolutely amazing. I kind of had a little bit lower expectations, like upstairs in the back, but Connor got the window seat. There's a locker there. The food was wonderful. It was a wonderful flight. Wonderful flight. I'm very glad I did it. I would not have done it otherwise. I would have saved money and miles and gone on American, but I twisted
Connor, just
arm
quick
and
question.
no regrets.
What's
No
that?
regrets.
You did an inaugural flight yesterday. That's why you went to Nashville?
Yes, the Southwest Airlines started Tulsa, Nashville yesterday.
Oh, nice. That's
Yes.
cool.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that. Was a celebration? They handed out free stuff or what?
Yes, that's correct. Anytime we have an inaugural flight here, our marketing team goes to work. So we had all kinds of freebies. Southwest brought 3 bags. They had plain ducks and sunglasses, you name it. And then our team had cowboy boot cookies, cowboy hat cookies. We had guitars, just all kinds of fun freebies, actual pins with cowboy hats on them. We had cowboy boot coasters. So we went all out. We had an awesome banner. It was so cool. And yeah, it was just such a fun time. So awesome to continue to move forward.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to switch subjects again. Tell us about where are you in life right now? What's going on in your life? College, work?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And I don't talk about this as much right now, but I do plan to expand more on it. So great question. So yeah, in 2022, I decided to pursue my aviation career at Oklahoma State University. And for a variety of reasons, I started off with professional pilot, got my private license in my instrument rating, then got super passionate about airline and airport operations. So I pivoted over to aviation management and have been pursuing that for a couple of years now. So I'm currently a senior. I graduate in December. This semester, I've been fortunate enough to have an internship at Tulsa International Airport, which has been super fun. I spent 1 week hanging out with all the different departments, but this has been a really eye-opening experience to see how the airport functions. So very fortunate for that. And with already having familiarity, just completely lucked out with that. And feeling even more fortunate this summer to have an opportunity at Charlotte Douglas International Airport for an internship there in terminal operations. So extremely excited for that. That'll be a really awesome opportunity to learn how Hub Airport functions in that environment. So much management to go through that. So really excited for that. And then plan to come back here this fall and somehow try to figure it all out in 4 months and then just start putting in a bunch of job applications. So, but yeah, it's certainly been a very fun time through college. I'm currently the president of our AAA chapter, which is an airport club. If you don't know, highly recommend getting involved with any professional affiliation if you can. I know Sean's very big on that, so there are resources, so do recommend getting involved, but it is important. Certainly great to expand and explore all the opportunities out there. So that's been fun. And then obviously I've been very involved with Airlines International and WAS as well on the more of the hobby side of it, but obviously there are plenty of great ties here. I mean, just look at Tom, for example. So it's fun. There's so many great opportunities, but this is currently where I'm at, graduating December. So I'm sure a big shakeup's on the way. We'll see where we land, but regardless, I'm hoping for a smooth touchdown. So we'll see what happens.
Fantastic. Tom.
Quick question, Connor. What are you trying or what are you pursuing for a career? Airport, like airport director type of thing?
Yeah, airline airport operations. I'm extremely passionate about airline network planning. That's obviously a much more senior position, so I wouldn't mind getting in even as a crew scheduler and so forth. But
so you're hoping to get on with an airline then?
That would be nice, but also not opposed to any airport operation position, whether that's like an airfield operations agent or trying to sneak in somewhere in the admin. There's so many different, aviation related jobs in there too. It just depends on how we work in. But yeah, whether it's operations or air service with an airline, somewhere in those realms.
Very nice.
Yes.
By the way, Phil Brooks texted me, sorry, I'm at work. I'm on and off, so I can't talk. So he's multitasking, which
we
is
appreciate the effort, Phil. Thank you, sir.
That's right. Absolutely.
It's our president at work.
Connor, what do you think has been your biggest challenge in your aviation journey?
Man, there's so many different ways I could go with this. It's incredible, but I think that really the biggest one that comes to my mind is getting that private pilot's license. That was a, ambition that, it's steep. We're looking at it, right? There is so much studying, persistence, dedication, memorization, and just complete overall concept acknowledgement that you have to have. Tom can certainly speak on it, and anybody else that's been through that. There's so much that goes into that. It is certainly not easy by any means. So to be able to go through all those regulations, to go through all those POHs, which are the aircraft manuals, and to learn about all these different types of weather, and there's literally you could probably break it down into about 100 different sections, but we'll just say for the interview here, 12 major sections. There's so much to it. So navigating all that with so many external factors going on at the same time, plus trying to work on myself as well through that process, so much. And then there was time constraints and, so many different pieces of the puzzle. So to navigate all of that and be able to get that private pilot's license on the first try, just so awesome. Extremely fortunate for that experience. It really made me the person that I am today. I developed a bunch of personal skills and character traits from that experience. So feeling very fortunate for it, but it was definitely the biggest challenge.
Man, you are really on a roll. I know that instrument rating
that as well. Tough. And that certainly was stingy too. It absolutely was.
That's a tough one to get. That's a lot of work.
Yes, it is.
But it makes you a much safer pilot flying, and doesn't mean you go out in thunderstorms and go flying in the bad weather. It just means you can pop through the clouds.
That's incorrect. Yes, I still prefer VFR flying, but there's still plenty of opportunities in the IFR realms as well, for sure. Great skill.
I'll comment about all the training. We at UPS, we only go to the simulator once a year now, and we do quarterly home studies on our iPads. So we do spend, quite a bit of time studying different things. But then I always start studying about 2 or 3 weeks before my simulator. My wife is always saying, well, why are you studying? You've been doing this for 25 years. You should know it by now. And she's right to a degree. You do build up a a baseline of knowledge, but things do change. We do have new procedures. There's always new things going on. We've had some changes in the North Atlantic airspace. Now we don't even do clearances to cross the Atlantic. We just go with what we've been filed for. So there is some constant change, but it is good to stay in the books and keep current in your field. And it does take a lot of time. I mean, you do have to pay attention.
I think you mostly covered it, Connor, but one of the questions I had, how did you maintain interest in aviation with your situation? And I want to say also, Connor has been sharing a Airliners International Instagram account with Layla and has been sharing, they set up a schedule, and even my buddy in Salt Lake City, Judge, says, like, what's going on with that? All of a sudden it just popped up. There's uploads all the time. It's really good content. So thanks for doing that, Connor. That's been made a difference.
Of course, yeah, and that's exactly what we're about, is contributing and making a difference. So those are some of my biggest philosophies. But getting into what we were talking about there for how I maintain interest, and yeah, like I said, but to get more into it, that was a super tough period of time, right? My hometown was 10,000 people. That's not very large, and the Cessnas at the airport, unfortunately, were not sufficient. So being able to make that drive, and family made a bunch of sacrifices as well. So I really appreciate it. Mom went around and she did double segments, and we flew 3 flights to get to Myrtle Beach and 3 flights back. So all that's
Yes.
greatly appreciated. And just those little moments, that 1 inch of the flight really does make a difference, right? So all that persistence, but the model aircraft really made the difference, and be able to engage with the community. That was so vital to me, to just know that there was more to the picture, right? So just keeping that persistence, and then finally, when I was able to get over the hump and be able to come over here and do more plane spotting, and then do more flights by myself, and then finally find Airliners International, just an absolutely incredible opportunity. So yeah, what an experience to be able to maintain it for so long. It was easy to drift. I nearly got away from it about when I was a freshman in high school, but fortunately I was able to drift back into it. So I'm very fortunate for that. And I'm glad that I made that choice. It was my freshman year when I decided that I was going all in on YouTube and aviation. And that was certainly a fantastic choice. So yeah, what a difference it's made. And we're here now.
Terrific. I see there is an Alex on here. Alex, can you say anything or introduce yourself, or you just want to observe? Either way is fine.
Hi. My
Hi,
name
welcome.
Thank you.
Where's home for you, Alex?
Well, I'm from originally New York.
Or-
Oh,
yeah,
where I live, I always hear the planes going into Kennedy.
oh, sure.
I'm currently in Indiana for school,
Whereabouts?
Indiana University.
Are you down in Bloomington?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Indianapolis. You
Oh,
wanna?
nice. Nice.
Yeah. Uh, and while I'm talking, if anybody here would like to email me, and Alex, I'll give you my email address. Why don't you, if you want to get in touch, please feel free. It'd be David at WAS Online. That's WAHS online.com. And what I am looking for from anybody is a friendship story. You came to a day show, came to the big convention, you met these people, and it was really worthwhile because we started traveling together, or we did this, or I was best man at his wedding, or anything. I love the stories. I want to collect them. I want to share them only with your permission on Friday of the Atlanta show at 5 o'clock when we get together at 5. Tom, would you have time? You think Friday at 5 o'clock in Atlanta to come in just for a few minutes and say, here's been my experience at the airline shows. I met Phil Brooks.
Sure,
I met
I could do that. Yeah.
all these people, but I'm looking for not I met so and so forth, which led to another person, but I'm looking for like more emotional, like I got to do this with this person. I went to the Paris Air Show with this guy and we had a blast. That I'm looking for that kind of a thing.
Okay.
So
Let me I'll
I
send
have
you
a
an
story
email
from Phil Brooks, which is
and see
great,
whether
but
that works
I'm
or not.
looking stories from anybody, but they'll be
Okay.
shared. And so, Alex, I'm on the south side of Indianapolis. If you want to get together, just drop me a line and we'll go from there.
Thank you very much. What's your email again?
Sure. David at wasonline.com. That's WAHSONLINE.com. David at wasonline.
Thank you very much.
Great, Alex. Great. Yeah, love to get with you.
What are you studying, Alex, at Bloomington?
Well, I currently study like Central Eurasian Studies. That's like a very specific history, and also business and financial literacy as a minor.
Okay. What is your interest in the aviation collecting?
Well, I have all aspects of interest in aviation. I haven't really been like like the proper type of aviation, like you see like on Instagram. Um, but like I like to spot planes when I can.
Oh, nice. Well, JFK is a wonderful place to watch airplanes.
Oh yeah, it is. Beautiful place.
My first flight as captain at UPS a few years back. I did the Canarsie arrival to JFK where you do the big turn and land on runway 31. So,
What an experience.
are you going to try to make Atlanta this year?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try to make more events to get more
Great.
connections.
We would like to meet you in person. That would be wonderful.
Definitely, yeah. I'd be very honored to do that.
This is a good group. We have a lot of
You've been
good
coming to these
networking.
shows, Alex, haven't you? I recognize you. You were in Dallas when Chris was there with a cutaway 747. Cutaway DC-8, pardon me. You've been coming to these shows.
No, I haven't.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Although I want to someday.
I'm confusing that with aviation loss here. Yes. Okay. Got it. He's waving. Okay. Right. I got you. I thought maybe you had two windows open. Okay. Apologize. That's great. Yeah. Drop me a line. Love to get with you. All right. Mr. Aviation Lost, do you want to say something?
Yes, can you guys hear me well?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. So, howdy everybody, I'm Aviation Elias, and I've been into this aviation hobby since I was 5 years old. And when I started here by Airliners International, because of Connor's videos, that's what it got me to doing all those events.
Yes, perfect. Perfect. We're going to see you in Atlanta.
Yes, I got everything prepared. I'm always ready for any of those events.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. I think we might start to wrap things up. And any final comments, thoughts, or anything? Here's your big chance.
I think Luke wants to say something, David.
Yes, go ahead, Lucas.
I saw Chris Slimmer, and I guess he's stepping down from the committee. And me and my dad asked him some questions. And is there going to be a show in 2026, or is that going to be hold off for a while?
Being actively worked on, and there will be an announcement when it's traditional. I think it's funny. Rumors fly around at the convention. Where's it gonna be now? I heard maybe here and all that, and then it comes out. So
To be honest with you, kind of like looking at that, it kind of feels like what Lucas was talking about. It almost seems like a fake email, some sort of putting that. It's not officially from World Airline Historical Society themselves.
Well, we haven't put anything out, so.
Yeah, and WAS contracts basically signs a contract with airliners, and so airliners will, but WAS would announce it too, of course.
Yeah. Lucas, is your dad, he's retired now from Delta?
Yes. Yes, he retired last May 21st, 2024, and that was his last flight, and I got very emotional, and I cried a little bit, but it was a really fun flight for my dad. And my dream job will be at the Museum of Flight one day.
What airplane was he on? Did he retired on?
737-900ER.
Nice. And was he Seattle based?
He was Seattle-based captain. Yeah, he
Nice.
made captain in 2019.
Very nice. I hope
No,
he's
2018.
enjoying.
I take it back. 2018.
I hope he's enjoying retirement.
Oh, I have a good advice. He did the charter flying. He says it's really hard, and the pilots are very snobby at the charter companies. But if you want to fly after you retire, then it's okay.
Well, I got 2 years to go, and I'm going to retire. I don't think I want to fly professionally anymore. but I
Okay.
still will maybe do a little airplane flying. I've done enough. I started when I was 16.
Oh my goodness.
I have been at 9 different airlines and flown the DC-8, the 747, 757, 767. I've had my fill.
Okay, that's really good. Thank you for my question.
Thank you,
course.
Lucas, for
Super.
participating.
Yeah,
You
nowadays,
for-
like these airline companies want to recruit more pilots since like many of these pilots, like since they're like many of the pilots today are kind of reaching that retirement age of 65. So
Mhm.
we might as well get more pilots, like younger pilots, so we can have more pilots flying to the future.
Well, there is certainly a shortage coming, or there has been a shortage, and it will be an issue for years to come because there are a lot more senior pilots or older pilots that are retiring, and there's not enough younger people in the pipeline to replace all those jobs.
Yeah.
I read in the paper that Republic's picking up Mesa, but Republic, I'd forgotten this, declared bankruptcy because they didn't have enough pilots.
Ouch.
Management positions are going to go in line with that. Go ahead, Lucas.
I have a, but this is, I'm not trying to be any political person, but I guess Congress wants to raise the age to 67 for the pilots, and they want to raise the age a little bit higher. But I know, like in Japan, they did, and the pilots seem really happy. Like just 2 more years seems to be really nice for pilots under the belt, and then I'm not trying to be political, and I'm not trying to
Oh
take any
no,
sides
This
or
is completely
it is a
fine. This is
valid
completely
point
fine. No worries.
because it was
okay.
age 60 for many, many years. So I got extra years. I should have retired 3 years ago. There is pushing in the United States to raise it to 67. ALPA, the big pilot union for most of the large airlines, is against it.
Oh,
They are not for it until there's more evidence whether it can be safely done. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I'm 63. I don't do well staying up at night anymore because we do a lot of night flying. So I try to avoid that. And not a lot of my colleagues, but a fair amount of my colleagues in my age group are on long-term disability. So
oh,
if you take any major airline group and your aging pilot group, there's quite a percentage of pilots that are actually not actively flying. It's not to say that we can't. I mean, I try to stay healthy and do all the right things, but it does catch up with you at some point. So, they'll
I'm
figure it out.
sorry. I'm
And
sorry that I asked that.
they may
Oh,
raise it
you're
to
good.
67.
Oh,
You're all
okay.
67
good.
is reasonable.
Okay.
All good.
Thank you, Connor, for letting me ask
Absolutely.
that question.
Yes,
Thank you
of
so
course.
much.
Absolutely. What other questions do we have? Yes, Alex, go right ahead.
So I had a question about like kind of like advice. This is like an open-ended question for everyone. You guys have a lot more experience like in the aviation community, I guess you could put it like that. Like what advice would you have for like folks who are like me who didn't go to college for like aviation, but who are still like super interested in this like career path or interest in this hobby path? What advice would you have for like getting into it and staying involved and stuff like that?
That's a really good question. JJ and so many others are in that exact spot, and I talk with so many of them on a regular basis. My number one recommendation would be to go on YouTube and find some. There's a bunch of various online platforms you can utilize, some of which have both text and voice chat channels. So, Discord, for example, is an online platform where you can get on actual voice chats with people, and there's a bunch of online communities as well that do Zooms like this and so forth as well. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and so on. But I would try to find one of those online communities that you can talk through on voice. I have a couple of those myself. So those are really fun and a great opportunity to talk with multiple people about what you love. So I do recommend that very much. And if you need more help on that, you can contact me and I can get you plugged in with that. That would be number one. Number two, I would consider with that plane spotting time you have, I would consider getting out and trying to share it on social media if you're interested. I mean, you got to start with some sort of basis, and typically that's what most people do. So I absolutely would recommend that as well. And number three, and this is a more challenging one logistically, but it's what makes the difference, as bad as I say. Number three is that attend any sort of shows. Chicago's pretty close to you. They have 2 yearly one-day collectible shows. There's also collectible shows in some of the smaller cities. Cleveland's on there, and Atlanta's another one that has a day show usually, along with Newark and so on. I know you said you're from New York, so there's a bunch of day shows, but then obviously the big one is where you're going to get most of the opportunity in Atlanta this year, like we've talked about. So those are the three methods I would recommend, and you're welcome to contact me, and I can help you out. I can drop my email in the chat or however you want to contact, or you can stay afterward, whatever's easiest for you.
I have a question, Alice. What are you considering for a career?
I'm not really sure. I want to do business. That's why I'm a business minor.
Getting into the aviation business?
Yeah, or either like professional flying. I'm kind of split 50-50.
Well, it doesn't. I have a degree in marketing. I've never used it.
Oh, wow.
So you don't have to get a pilot degree. You don't have to have a degree in aviation to become a pilot. You just need to get the hours of experience to get hired at a regional, and then get your hours up experience to get hired at the larger airlines. So the airlines could care less what your degree is in. Believe me, we have lots of history majors, business majors. Where I work, all the pilots I work with at UPS, you don't have to have an aviation degree. So
yeah, it sounds good. Yeah,
absolutely.
I thought of, given that in New York, joining the Wings Club Foundation.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
I know that there's a bunch of groups out there, so I recommend pursue any opportunity that you find. Absolutely.
Thank you for answering my question.
Of course, absolutely. Contact me for more. Dreamliner Fan 2016's got his hand up. Go ahead.
It's not really like a question, but I always been thinking on like when is the next airliner show going to be held in like the western part of the United States, because I kind of understand like the last one was technically not really, but kind of close to the western part of the US, but Denver was the last show that's close to the West Coast in 2017. So maybe one day we might see one in LA, San Diego, Seattle, San Francisco or
Okay,
something.
who's going first on this? Who wants to go first? I can go first. Tom, you want to go first?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Unfortunately, we're at the whim of who decides to put on a show, and if that person picks a city, like for example, last year was Kansas City. Chris Slimmer picked that because it was near to his house. It had been in Kansas City before. He was able to negotiate a reasonable rate for a hotel. And there hasn't been a lot of competition over the last number of years. We used to have 10, 15 years ago, we'd have 2 or 3 groups that would want to put out a proposal to host a city for Airliners International. Unfortunately, that has not been the case for many, many years. I believe Phoenix was in 2021 after COVID. But yes, it has been back in the East for the most part, Midwest for the number of years. And we do hear comments from lots of people, why isn't it on the West Coast? Well,
Yeah,
we should have it on the West Coast again. Unfortunately, we're at the whim of whoever decides to be the promoter of the show.
That makes sense. Is it some kind of like something something off of aviation, but is it kind of like similar to like which city will be hosting the Super Bowl next? Similar in a way?
Or who wants to go?
You go, Connor.
Yeah, so not particularly. So kind of a couple of major logistical complications that go in conjunction with what the promoter is going to think about. For number one, most of the vendors are on the East Coast, so making all the vendors drive 22 hours is a bunch. So that's a huge factor when they're thinking about that, and you got to be mindful of that. Number two, and there's just so many more cities to work with, right? I think of the West Coast, and I think of Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Phoenix, on that corridor right there, right? Those are the big, in Las Vegas, those are the 6 cities that could host the show, and 4 of those are pretty much impossible. Las Vegas, Los Angeles, San Diego, not a convention hotel that's large enough at the airport, astronomical prices. just a whole variety of factors, right? So if you get into it and look at convention hotels that are near the airports, it just becomes a logistical complication. I believe, from what I understand, there's been efforts to try to make it on the West Coast, and I know the Seattle One Day Show got introduced, so that's a huge start towards more aviation there as well. But the logistical complications usually make it very challenging. So we could do a whole webinar just on the logistics part of it. But for this particular situation, yeah, just all those factors that I mentioned, vendors, the drive, the price, not having the adequate convention hotels at the majority of those airports, and so forth. And Dave will go ahead.
We've got about a minute according to our time here, Tom.
Oh, I set the meeting till 8:30.
Okay, cool.
We did recently have a proposal from Florida, but it didn't go through. And the biggest reason was, even though it was June, a lot of sports teams, college kid or high school sports, go meet to do baseball, soccer, and all kinds of stuff. And the prices for June in Florida were through the roof, and they had no dates available for 2026. It was already booked. So some cities are very, very popular because of like Disney World and all that. You know, you would think, well, who wants to go to Orlando in June when it's hot? But
everyone,
they weren't able to get any dates that worked, and nothing suitable. So they did not put out a proposal. So it's becoming increasingly difficult, or more difficult than it has in the past. It's hard to say where it's going to go down the future. I mean, we've talked about having a professional group, help host it, but that gets awfully expensive. I mean, I think we've been able to keep the cost relatively reasonable. A hotel under $200 a night is pretty reasonable these days. Try to keep the cost down for the banquet, the registration. I mean, because even if you don't have a table, you're going to spend at least $500-600 on airfare. You got 2 or 3 nights hotel. You've got food expenses, and you got your registration fee. I mean, you're going to spend a couple $1,000s just to show up.
Maybe tours.
And you haven't even bought any goodies to take home yet.
JJ's guilty.
Just to interrupt, but Lucas, can you please mute your mic, because I don't know what's here.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry. I'm
All
sorry.
good. No worries.
Sorry.
No worries. All right. Who else has questions? Yes, JJ, right ahead.
Yeah, this is mainly for David. Going back to your inquiry about friendship stories sent them by email, does it work if I know the person beforehand, but our friendship has grown significantly because of that? Does that work too?
Absolutely. And we'll count that. Absolutely.
Okay, very good.
Thanks in advance for that. I love to get them.
Yeah.
Loved it. They're worth sharing.
Who else? Any questions?
I will say that Connor and I spoke briefly at the banquet at Dallas about the value of friendships, and it was really, really well received. So for two, because we're, very different age group, but from my perspective and from Connor's perspective, it was just really well. I think people were inspired by that, I hope, and I'd like to see more of it, because I think I just think that some people show up like to a day show or something, and they look at the tables and they buy some stuff and they see the postcards they wanted, and then they leave, and it's like, oh, that's too bad. So I just want to say, introduce yourself to a couple of strangers or something, or start a conversation. So Connor and I met waiting in line to check into the registration at the Chicago show, and just like, so where are you from? I was like, oh, from Oklahoma. Cool. Okay. And then look what that led to. So yes, John, please.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so good to be here and to be invited by Connor to do this. He wasn't going to give me the link to the meeting tonight because I missed the deadline last night for that. So thank you, Connor, for giving that. Connor, what has been like the biggest thing you've learned about yourself since you've been at your internship in Tulsa?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a great question. There's so many aspects to that. Just fitting into what a person's demeanor is, for a lack of a better term, you know, what kind of vibe you get, right? So typically, as you all can tell, I'm real enthusiastic and really outgoing and so forth. But if that's a little too much for somebody, just being able to back off a little bit and fit into what their style of work is, for example. So if somebody's more, just kind of quiet but point out what's important, do that. Or if somebody is real talkative, no reason to stop the conversation, just keep giving them points to feed off of and so forth. So it's been a really good collaboration opportunity to work with a variety of different people in so many different aspects. So that's been extremely helpful from all races, age, all of that. So that's been extremely helpful through this experience.
Thank you.
Of course. Who else? Any more questions? And you're always welcome to message any of us later on as well. We are going to start working on, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to start immediately working on details for our next event, and hopefully that'll be hosted within the next month or so. So stay on the lookout for that. Check out wasonline.com for additional details on membership, captain log, upcoming airline collectible shows, both one day and more information on Atlanta. Check out airlinersinternational.org for all the information on the big show. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to let us know. There's a bunch of content on the YouTube channel from last year's seminars too and so forth. And we do have another question that came up. So Dreamliner fan, go right ahead.
So like, I know we're gonna be having tours soon for Atlanta. What is that gonna be announced somewhere around like late April or early May?
That's typically what happens, yes. And there's so many tours that go out as well. So I would just add a week buffer or so, but I would absolutely expect those probably by May 10th, probably at the absolute latest, but probably within a month or so, yes.
And I
By
think an
the way,
additional question
if
to
you
that.
didn't know, they tend to go really quickly.
Yes, so be
Once they're
prompt with
announced,
it.
so
And
pay
we'll,
attention. Like they will start at such and such a date or such and such a time, even. So sometimes it's like people wait a day and are like, oh, I wanted to go on the maintenance tour and it's all sold out. Like so, just a word.
yes, that's very good. And Dreamliner fan, did you have a second part to that?
Yeah. Will
Yeah, what's
there
up?
be a ramp tour in Atlanta as a tour next year for this
Chris
year?
Slimmer at earthlink.net. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully, we'll see. He's got a grand finale here for us, so hopefully he does his magic and gets us one. That would be awesome at the world's busiest airport. So we will have to see what happens. Hopefully so.
Tom, I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you be willing to be our next webinar speaker in about a month?
When
I'll check with your schedule
possibly.
sometime in
When
May.
do you have
We'll
I
make
guess I can send
time
you
for
my
your
dates of
schedule. Yes, we'll fit
availability.
into your schedule. Yes.
Say again, Tom. Sorry.
I said, yeah, it depends on what date.
Sure.
But I can send you my dates of availability.
Absolutely. Be sure to do that and we'll fit into your schedule.
All right.
Okay.
Tom's got a lot of great story. He could talk for
His seminar's on YouTube, by the way. I'd recommend viewing that as well. It's really good.
he could talk for quite a while about just about the 747, and it's
He did
really,
that.
Yes, I could.
He did that.
really
Well,
good
I
stuff.
guess you could let me know what you would like me to talk about, so I have an idea.
Yes, we'll navigate those. Might be
Okay.
friendships. We'll see.
Sure.
I might save
Great.
that for Atlanta's next.
That's
gen.
true. That's true. We'll have to find a way to ricochet it all off in some
I
capacity.
think your career story is interestingly enough.
That's
Oh
true.
yeah, there's been
Yeah,
a few
that would be
good
a good
stories
one.
along the way.
747 would be terrific. So great. Thanks for your willingness in advance, Tom.
Thank you very much.
We'll get together about that. Cool. All right.
Any more questions?
Anything else?
Yes, Lucas.
Yes.
So I know Chris is stepping down. If someone can replace his spot, I think you already answered this question. Sorry if I misheard.
As
Or
far
that's
as I'm
gonna-
aware, they're planning to get new promoters for Airlines International 2026. Yes,
Okay, thank you.
of course.
That kind of to step in, like if Chris Slimmer were to like, like if he's old, I'm not sure if Chris is like at some point Chris has got to be retiring at some point as like the director of airliners, like the one who does all the things, organizes them. I was thinking like, you think you'll be the replacement for Chris Slimmer Connor in the foreseeable
Who
future?
knows? Who knows? We'll see.
Because like I've seen you have like connections with Chris and you.
It's a possibility. It's a possibility.
He'd be great. And there's another gentleman that doesn't get nearly as much attention, who's working very
Yes.
hard behind the scenes. That's Bill Demrest, and he's usually hiding behind, figuring things out behind a desk or something like that. But
He's awesome.
the two of them, like, very different personalities. Chris is loud and Bill is quiet, for example. But
They work together.
I don't know, 9 or 10 years, they're like yin and yang, but they pull off a show. It's like, if anybody said, "Well, did you have a good time at the show?" Like, honestly, I had, I don't know, not the highest expectation about Kansas City. It's like, Kansas City, oh my God, there's no international. Like, what? But I had a great time. I had a great, the friendships, and then we could go through airplanes and that Eastern facilities there, like the barbecue at the TWA Museum. It was it turned out to be really fun, even if it didn't have any wide bodies there flying in or out. So,
I mean,
so
we
they,
can blame the bus company for just giving us one van. I'm like one bus. Like,
It happens. It's all part of the story.
yep.
Any more questions?
this is your last chance.
Last chance. Last chance.
All right, we did.
Oh, yes, Lucas, go ahead.
Hour and 10.
It'll be very short, but at this airliners, is it so it's at the Delta Flight Museum, and my dad was just wondering, because we booked the hotel for like full, because we missed the deadline for the cheap price. Because would they be like next year? If there's one next year, would they be like a little more heads up? Because my dad was kind of bummed that we missed that.
Are you talking about the
Or is-
Renaissance?
Yeah, the Renaissance.
Just got to be prompt. I hate to say it this way, but the rooms go so quick, and you just got to be prompt and ready to. The demand is that high, so you just got to be ready as soon as it comes out. It's unfortunately not one of those that you can control. Once the room nights are sold, they are sold, and there's not really much navigating. All I can say is that you can stay on the lookout. There are usually cancellations about a month out, so I'd recommend staying on the lookout. And usually a room or two will open up, so stay on the lookout in case that happens, and always keep checking back that booking link.
That's very
Thank
good
you.
advice. In addition,
Thank you,
Lucas,
Connor.
Of course.
when
Lucas,
the hotel
that-
and the
that
organization,
Kimpton option is available too.
Oh, okay, but my dad already booked the hotel for the Renaissance. He paid the full price.
oh, okay.
We found a room.
Okay, good deal.
In the Renaissance. We did.
Good
Thank
deal.
you, Connor.
Of course. Dreamliner fan.
Now, I think it's a question that I've been concerning about like the spotting meetup, because like of course last year in Kansas City, cops had like show up because we were spotting at the parking garage. We didn't have all that paperwork, like you didn't have all the paperwork filed for this whole spotting meetup, and like it was kind of like a miscommunication to like the airport directors in Kansas City and Chris Slimmer himself. So like how's that going to be played out in Atlanta? Like
We'll
is
either
there
have documentation on paper or we'll be in a public area. It'll be one of the two.
Well, let's hope we can get this settled down for
Yes,
like
that will not happen again.
yeah, hopefully not.
That will not happen again. Don't worry about that.
Yep.
All righty. Any more? We have made 1 hour, 12 minutes. It's been fun.
Thanks everybody for attending. Appreciate it.
Thank you all very much.
It was good.
Yeah, very good meeting. It was nice to meet some young people. Thank you for participating.
Yes.
We'll definitely do this again.
Stay on the lookout on social media and the emails and so forth, and definitely go check out the website. But we'll have a notice out when we have more information about our next webinar.
Yeah,
Feel
super
free to
excited.
sign up. Feel free to sign up for membership and send me some friendship stories. I'd love it.
Absolutely.
These friendships are really fun to like talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David at wattsonline.com. Send them in.
Everyone email on the board of directors is on the WAS Online website. Each director, and I believe Connor's is on there as NextGen.
Yeah.
So there is all the contact information is on there if you're trying to reach us.
And we have our own special meeting in Atlanta for 1 hour.
Yes.
Friday at
Super
5
exciting.
o'clock. Hope you all can come, and because you're going to hear some good friendship stories.
It's going to be fun.
Yes, going to be great. Good stuff. All right. I'll see you all later.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks again.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Thank you.
And I'll see you next time.
Bye.
See you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.